Firstly, what is a river? A river is a large natural flow of water that crosses an area of land and goes into the ocean, a lake, or another body of water. Here in Trinidad and Tobago, we have an example of this, the Caroni River. The Caroni River is the country's largest river. It runs for over 40 kilometers, its source being the Northern Range, the middle course being through the Caroni Plains, and it enters the Gulf of Paria through its mouth at the Caroni Swamp. Now, let's talk about the parts of a river. Right now, we are at the upper course in the river. In the upper course, the river is high above sea level. This gives it lots of energy. The river cuts through the land to its base level, and so it mainly does vertical erosion. This creates a V-shaped valley in the river. What you're seeing is a narrow river which has a steep gradient. The water is mainly slow flowing as most of its river energy is used to overcome friction in the riverbed and obstructions within the river itself. The load in the river is large. As you are seeing, this is a waterfall, which is a common feature of a river. And here is how a waterfall is formed. Formation of waterfalls. As water passes over hard rock and erodes the softer rock below it, a plunge pool is formed beneath the falling water, and the river erodes backwards as the water and the rock swirl around. Eventually, the hard rock collapses under gravity, and this process continues over time, and the waterfall recedes to form a gorge. Another feature of the upper course is the interlocking spurs. As the river erodes the landscape in the upper course, it winds and bends to avoid areas of hard rock. This creates interlocking spurs, which look like the zip on our pants. Now on to the middle course. As the river enters the middle course, the gradient of the river becomes less and lateral erosion becomes more important. The river discharge is greater than the upper course and has a greater sediment load. The valley has a broad, flat floor bordered by gentle slopes called bluffs. In the middle course, meanders are the main feature. So let's talk about those. Meanders, in general, are bends in the river. A meander is formed when moving water in a river erodes the outer banks and widens its valley, and the inner part of the river has less energy and deposits whatever it carries. Other formations in the middle course are slip-off slopes. A slip-off slope is a gentle slope forming the inner banks of a meander. It is formed by deposition of fine salts or alluvium. Now lastly, the lower course. In the lower course, the river is near to the sea, and deposition becomes a more dominant process. Some of the features are the wider, deeper, and more efficient channel shapes. Eyots or silt islands are formed. The river has less friction, but the main features include floodplains, oxbow lakes, and deltas. Currently, what you are seeing here is Shark River, Toco, Trinidad. Currently, we are at the mouth of the river, where it enters the sea. Now, let's talk about floodplains. A floodplain is made up of a thick layer of alluvium, and at the edge of the floodplain, there is a small line of river cliffs called bluffs. Another feature of the lower course are oxbow lakes. Oxbow lakes are formed from a meander. As the sediment is deposited, the meander is cut off from the river to form oxbow lakes. But the lake gradually shrinks. Oxbow lakes also occur in the middle course. Now on to deltas. Some rivers reach the sea in deltas, which form where the river mouth has become choked with sediment, causing the main river channels to split up into hundreds of smaller channels. For a delta to be formed, the river must be transporting large amounts of sediment, as well as the sea must be shallow, with a small tidal range and weak currents. Now we've reached the end of the video. What have you learned? Well, you've learned that a river is a large natural flow of water that goes into an ocean or a lake or any other body of water. You've also learned that a river is made of three main parts. The upper course, where you'll find waterfalls and interlocking spurs. The middle course, where you'll find meanders and slip-off slopes. And the lower course, where you'll find floodplains, oxbow lakes, and deltas. I hope you had a good time and learned a lot about rivers.